Democrats have been trying to get the president's tax returns for a long time. This time it's criminal. Hi, I'm Scott Ott, and this is Bill Whittle Now. And Bill, while congressional panels have tried to pressure the Treasury Department and to subpoena various documents, including tax returns from the president, this time the Manhattan District Attorney in Manhattan, New York, has subpoenaed 8 years of the president's personal and corporate tax returns related to a criminal investigation, which is connected, and this is all coming from sort of secret sources since this is a non-public proceeding, related to the Trump payments to Stormy Daniels, or Stephanie Clifford, as her given name is, through Michael Cohen, the president's attorney, who's now in jail. Bill, the president was able to put off the congressional panels by various delaying tactics. This may not be so easy to put off, and he may be dealing with this right in the middle of the 2020 presidential election cycle. What concerns do you have about this?
You know the answer to this. I mean, Scott Ott, the actual genuine conservative patriot, not the mild-mannered, weak-minded reporter you often play on the show. You know better than I do what the actual legal constraints are in a case like this. My understanding, limited as it is that if it's a sitting president, then nothing that happened prior to his election is anything that's actionable while he's president. Is that more or less correct?
Except that the case in question, if they're only focused, and I'll draw this distinction, if they're only focused on the Stephanie Clifford hush money payments, or perhaps also on the Karen McDougal hush money payments, the Playboy model who was alleged to have been paid off as well, that happened before he was elected president, because obviously they were trying to get them quiet during the election cycle. The other thing is, Bill, they're not just asking for 2016 or 2015 and 2016 tax returns. They want to go back to 2011. So there could be a broader investigation here.
But in terms of the law, Scott, if they want to go after Donald Trump for something he did in 2011, aren't they going to have to wait to 2020 or 2024 when he's no longer president? Just the very fact that it occurred before he was president, now he's a sitting president, doesn't that grant him immunity from these kind of things while he's in office?
Well, perhaps Jay Sekulow, the president's lawyer in the White House, may make that case. But right now, this is what the Manhattan District Attorney is doing. So,
well, I don't care what the Manhattan District Attorney is doing.
They may be able to stop that, but what I'm saying is this is underway.
Well, I remember when the Mueller investigation was underway as well, and all these other investigations in this ongoing witch hunt. That certainly is not going to change anybody's opinion of Donald Trump who already liked Donald Trump. So since we already know that this is a partisan effort on the part of people to get Donald Trump, the question comes down to the question it always comes down to. What does the law say? What are they legally able to do? If they can legally force the president to turn over his tax returns, I would be surprised if that were the case. If they're looking at irregularities that happened before he became president, then my understanding of the law is that, and the reason that this law is there is so that this kind of thing cannot happen, that the president of the United States cannot be constantly hamstrung all the time by anybody. And it sounds nice coming from the Manhattan District Attorney Office, but what if it was the District Attorney of Alachua County, Florida, where I went to college? What if the Alachua County Attorney General decided to launch an investigation into Donald Trump's tax returns? Would that stop the wheels of government? Would that require Donald Trump to go into this legal battle over this?
Well, I think this has to do with the district wherein the president's previous or current business that he's no longer active in was taking place.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is when you say Manhattan District Attorney, it throws a little weight, Oh, Manhattan District Attorney. Well, I guess we ought to pay attention to that. What if it's the Okeechobee District Attorney who's launching this investigation and subpoenaing the records? This is what I'm getting at by this example.
You're saying we only think it's significant because the word Manhattan seems to carry some sort of gravitas?
Precisely, yes, correct, exactly right. What legal authority does this person have in order to compel a sitting president to release his tax returns?
Well, they're taking an interesting approach here, Bill. They're actually going after Mazars USA, which is the president's accounting firm, and demanding these. And a spokesman for Mazars has reportedly said that we will comply with all the legal demands of law enforcement agencies. Now, they haven't said they were going to turn them over. They haven't said they're not going to turn them over. They basically said they're going to follow the law. Right.
They didn't say they're going to do what's right. They said they're going to do what's legal.
Correct.
Those are sometimes the same case. And so this is where the entire issue sits. And this is the question. And it seems to me, from my limited knowledge of it, that this is beyond their purview. It's not beyond their purview to go after Donald Trump for things that happened in Manhattan, but it is apparently beyond their purview to go after him while he's sitting in the Oval Office. So if they want to make sure that that investigation doesn't begin until January of 2024 instead of 2020, then I wish they would keep bringing these charges, because what it looks like to me and to everybody else is an endless, never-ending witch hunt of lawfare against the duly elected president of the United States of America.
Well,
and the president and the office of the president has certain constitutional protections precisely because there's an awful lot of little mosquitoes out there that are trying to bite an elephant, if you'll pardon the analogy. And so if every single mosquito bite stops the elephant in its tracks, then you cannot do anything. That's why the protection for the sitting president is in place. And this, to me, seems a perfect example of why that would be in place.
Well, Bill, you said it looks like that to you and to everybody else, but that's just not the case. It doesn't look that way to everybody else. In fact, the way it looks to about half the country is that here's this guy who's constantly being dogged by accusations that he's engaged in some sort of nefarious, unethical, and perhaps illegal activity. And when you've got half the country thinking that way, it's not an open and shut case like you're making it out to be.
No, I'm not making it out to be an open shut case in the court of public opinion. This is yet another attempt to basically an ongoing slow motion coup. It's to get rid of the president of the United States, who was elected by the American people, to go in there and clean this mess up, and they don't like it, and they're doing everything in their power to resist it. So the question is, as I said in the very first sentence of my reply, what is the law? It's not a question of public relations, not a question of any of that stuff. What does the law specifically say about something of this nature? And as I said also at the beginning, my limited understanding of the law is that unless this is a crime that is going on while he is in office, the president is essentially immune from these kind of things until such time as he's no longer the sitting president. So I don't care what people think, and they don't care what I think. What it's going to come down to is, does this district attorney have the legal power to force those documents into his own hands? And
Bill,
by the way, even if he does, let's just go ahead and speculate. Let's say that he has the power to get them. And let's say that in those tax returns, there are some serious irregularities in 2011. Let's say it looks like in 2011, there's in fact evidence of criminal activity. I'm saying these are all just hypotheticals for the sake of the argument. It still doesn't matter, right? The president is still protected, correct?
So, Bill, the challenge here,
but right? I mean, right? He's still legally protected. He cannot be removed from office. This is the level that we're on now and have been since Donald Trump won that evening. That evening, while Hillary Clinton was getting blind drunk.
The Democrats' case for an impeachment.
But you can't impeach somebody over activities that didn't happen when he was president. Is that correct?
I ask the questions in this show, Bill.
Well,
and I will not
my
render
understanding,
legal opinions without consulting with my own attorney.
Okay, so my understanding of the law is that this is the case. And if Barack Obama got his start in Bill Ayer's living room and Tony Resco and all the rest of that stuff, if all that stuff happened before Obama was president and therefore not relevant to being able to remove him from office, those are the rules and those are the rules.
But you talked about that for 8 years.
I did talk about it for 8 years. I absolutely did talk about it for 8 years. I just talked about it just now. So it's more like 10 years now, 11. Because it's true.
So the best way for the president to handle this situation, now that it has gone beyond just the nattering nabobs of negativism in the Democrat-controlled House, but actually and frankly, Bill, you know district attorneys don't like to take on cases that they can't win because they're constantly running for re-election and they need to be able to show a track record. This guy wants to be the giant slayer, does he not?
No, well, he doesn't, but this is my entire point. Yes. So what
Even
is
if
the
he just
motivation?
gets Trump's accounting firm.
Even if, but this is the point, Scott. This is what's happened to the American judicial system, legal system, moral system, all of it. There's no longer a presumption of innocence, certainly not with this president. So if you're saying that this guy wouldn't bring this case because he wants to win the case, he's already won re-election. By bringing these charges against Donald Trump, he has already won re-election in Manhattan. It's over. He's already done it.
So
Doesn't
essentially,
matter.
this is a very elaborate virtue signaling.
Well, of course it is. And it's not that elaborate. It's pretty straightforward to me. So this guy, by doing what he's doing, by having put this thing in motion, understands that he is now going to be reelected in Manhattan, regardless of whether we hear another peep about this or not. And based on whatever evidence there is, we haven't seen any evidence so far, but nevertheless, they're going to continue to make these charges. And the people who think Donald Trump is guilty are going to think that he's guiltier, but that doesn't matter. They're not going to vote for him anyway. The people that support Donald Trump are going to look, or the people who are even remotely neutral or open-minded about this, are going to look at this ongoing effort to remove the president who was elected by the American people, because the people in the Justice Department, the people in the news media, the people in the Democratic political machine don't like it. So they want to overturn it. They simply want to take it back. They simply cannot come to grips with the fact that it happened. They cannot come to grips with it. And it is so destructive for their agenda, they cannot come to grips with it. So they're doing everything they can, legal and extra legal, in order to make this process stick. And so why wouldn't this guy bring these charges? Why wouldn't he? What does he get as a Democrat? First of all, you talk about being reelected as district attorney. You can pretty much put that in the bank. Somebody went after Donald Trump. Oh, he's a national hero. Any evidence? No, not really. That's okay. Doesn't matter. So where's the harm for him? He does well personally. You get to throw mud at Donald Trump and hope that some of it sticks, even though there's no evidence of any of this. There's no evidence. But what does that matter these days? Evidence doesn't matter these days. Evidence now is a quaint. Evidence to the left is like wearing a powdered wig in the proceedings of legal proceedings, like in Great Britain. It's an archaic accessory that we may mention every now and then out of respect for tradition, but evidence isn't required anymore to assassinate somebody's character. You don't need evidence to do that.
Let me contrast two things that President Trump has said. Number one, well, actually, Donald Trump has said when president and before he was president. Number one, he said that he did not make hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. And right now, there is no case that has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that he did make those payments. He made another statement, though. In 2016, he said he would release his tax returns. He has not done that, Bill. That's clearly a breach of a promise. Why does that not weigh heavy on your soul?
Now, that is the first argument you've made that actually has some weight with me.
You know, it's sheer volume. Eventually, a blind pig finds an acorn.
No, that argument is a great argument. If Donald Trump said he would release his tax returns to the American people and he didn't, then that's a broken promise. And I don't know why he hasn't done it, but it's disappointing. There's a lot of things about Donald Trump that disappoint me. His spending disappoints me. The progress on the southern border disappoints me. A lot of things disappoint me. A lot of the tweets disappoint me. But we're not at that point now. We're not at a point where it's like, this is the guy I like versus this is the guy I don't like. It's like, this is the guy who I may not like very much, and the alternative is Armageddon. It's the destruction of everything we believe. So once again, we're at the position where we're going to say, look, I can't spare this man. He fights. That's what Abraham Lincoln said about U.S. Grant. Oh, he's drunk, Mr. President. You can't. He's drunk and unruly. He's tattered and he's dusty and dirty and he chews a cigar. He's not a man to lead the Union armies. I can't spare this man. He fights. There it is. I can't spare him. I cannot spare Donald Trump as president because he fights. That's all I care about now, and that's all the people that elected him ever cared about. If you think that somehow this is going to influence Donald Trump voters into thinking, well, wait a minute, hold on, I thought this guy was some kind of celestial being clad in white robes, and now I realize he was paying this woman off. I've lost support for him completely. No, everybody knows what kind of person Donald Trump is, and everybody knew what kind of person Donald Trump is when we elected him, and we elected him anyway. And it turns out it was a pretty smart move. Well, compared to the alternative, it was the salvation of the country. But I'd make that bet again, and I'm going to make that bet again in 2020. I'm going to make that exact same calculation, and I'm going to be right then as well. So, is he a perfect man? No. Is he a good man? Probably not. I don't care. Did he pay Stormy Daniels payoff money? I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. There is a world where it would have mattered to me, and I can remember a time when this would have mattered to me, but this was a time when if you, let's say, drove off a bridge and drowned a girl, you'd have to pay some kind of price for it instead of going on to another 40 years in the Senate. That's the kind of world where these kind of things would matter, but we don't live in that kind of world. We live in a world now where things are determined by the amount of spotlight that the far left decides to turn on an issue, and in that world, I'm saying we can't spare this man. He fights.
The members of BillWhittle.com have made possible this program and some 4 dozen each month. They also operate their own members-only blog behind the paywall, so to speak, at BillWhittle.com. If you'd like to see what that's like, and frankly, to participate in that kind of discussion away from the toxic sewer of social media, why not try becoming a member at BillWhittle.com for a month? It's $9.95. If you don't think it's well worth your investment, we will give you a rapid and cheerful refund. Just go to BillWhittle.com. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I add something? No, I'm not going to make a cheerful refund joke this time.
Thank you.
We have seen so much member content on the website that has been incredible, but certainly the bar has been set by what we saw just a couple of days ago, where one of our members took 3 or 4 minutes of me talking about the gaming industry and how this is a big opportunity for people, and he went out there and cut it to video and put in statistics and put in quotes and everything. It's a masterpiece. It's much better than my argument was without it, and that was done by a member on his own, because he cares about this issue and because he cares about the country. It is going on the front page. It is going on the Facebook page. And it is absolutely astonishing to me that somebody would go to that effort and that time and come up with a product that ended up so professionally done. I am enormously proud to be a part of that community. And I just wanted people to know just exactly how deep that talent well runs.
And that's just one piece of the creativity and the intensity that you will see when you go to that members-only blog at BillWhittle.com. For Bill Whittle, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members for making this possible.